So now it's time to learn how to use Route 53 to get a custom domain name because, we do have this URL for our website, but it's kind of ugly and we want to go custom here. And we want to learn how to integrate Route 53 into our load balancer. So let's go up the top here, type Route 53. Okay. And we're going to register our domain. Now this does cost money, so I guess you could skip it or just watch here. But, to get the full effect, I really do think you should go out and purchase a very inexpensive domain. And so we're going to go to the top here, and I'm going to register a new domain. I'm going to get a .com if I can, unless there's something cheaper. There are cheaper ones. I guess I don't have to be so frugal. Okay, and I'm going to try to get, I know what domain I want. And as always, it's going to be Star Trek, so I'm going to see if I can get the Ferengi Alliance. So we'll type in Ferengi Alliance here and check if it's available. And it is, so that's going to be our domain name. So I'm going to add it to my cart here. We'll have our subtotal, we'll hit continue, and now we have a bunch of information to fill in. And I just want to point out down below that you can have privacy protection turned on. So normally with other services like GoDaddy, you would have to pay an additional fee in order to have yourself protected so it doesn't display your information on who is, okay? So if you're wondering what I'm talking about, if you go to who is here, domain tools, I believe it's this one here. I'm not sure why. Oh, here it is. There we go. I clicked the wrong one. Okay, and so if we were to go to who is here, we can generally look up anything we want. So if we typed in like google.com, okay, I'm going to say I'm not a robot, okay. Generally, there is like additional information here, and it can provide like someone's phone number and the company here. And sometimes you want to keep this information private, and so that is what this option here is going to do. So if you've ever had a random call from somebody, you wonder how they got your phone number, maybe you registered a domain name and it wasn't had privacy turned on. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and fill this out, and then I'm going to show you the steps afterwards, okay? All right, so we're on to the next page here, and I did substitute my private information here. And if you do call this number, you are looking forward to some tasty Pizza Hut in Toronto. And so on this page here, it's going to ask us if we want to automatically renew our domain. I'm going to say yes, because I think I want to keep this domain. And I'm just going to agree to the terms and conditions. It's going to cost $12 USD. Unfortunately, it's not Canadian dollars, so it's a little bit more expensive, but for me, it is worth it. We're going to go ahead and complete our purchase. Okay, and so it says we've registered the domain, and so it has been successfully registered. So there we go, cool. All right, so we're on to the next page here, and I did substitute my private information here. And if you do call this number, you are looking forward to some tasty Pizza Hut in Toronto. And so on this page here, it's going to ask us if we want to automatically renew our domain. I'm going to say yes, because I think I want to keep this domain. And I'm just going to agree to the terms and conditions. It's going to cost $12 USD. Unfortunately, it's not Canadian dollars, so it's a little bit more expensive, but for me, it is worth it. We're going to go ahead and complete our purchase. Okay, and so it says we've registered the domain, and so it has been successfully registered. So there we go, cool. So I just want to show you that the domain is in pending. So we are just waiting to get some emails from AWS. And once we get those emails, we will confirm them. And we should have our domain very shortly. They say it can take up to 3 days. I've never had to wait that long to get a domain. It's pretty quick, especially with .coms. So as those emails come in, I will then switch over to our email and show you what those look like. So our first email has arrived. It is from Amazon Registrar, and it's a confirmation. And there's nothing for us to confirm. It's just saying, hey, you are now using Amazon Registrar. That's the thing that actually registers the domains behind Route 53. And this is not really the email we care about, but I just want to show you it. So if you're wondering, what it's about. Okay, so our second email came in here. It didn't take too long here. I think I maybe waited about 15 minutes. And it says, I've successfully registered the FerengiAlliance.com. And so now we are ready to start using this domain. So we're going to go back to Route 53 here. I'm just going to get out of my email. So our domain name is registered, and we can see it appearing under the registered domains. It's no longer in the pending state. So let's go all the way up to hosted zones because AWS will have created one by default for us. And we can go ahead and start hooking up this domain to our load balancer. So I'm going to click in to the Ferengi Alliance. Okay, and right off the bat, we have some NS records. We have an SOA record, so they've really set us up here. And we're going to create our first record set. And we're going to want to hook up our www dot. Okay, and we are going to want to use alias. And we're going to choose the target, and we're going to choose our ELB. Okay, and so we're going to leave it on simple routing. And we're going to create that. And now our www dot should start pointing to our domain name. I'm pretty sure this takes effect like immediately. This is a new domain name, so I'm not sure if it has to propagate through all the DNS records around the world. So if this doesn't work, I'm not going to get too upset about this here, but I'm going to cross my fingers and it can't be reached. Okay, so it doesn't work just as of yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give it a little bit of time here just to see if it does take effect here, because everything is hooked up correctly, and we will be back here shortly. So I took a quick break there, had some coconut water, came back, refreshed, and now our website's working. I didn't have to do anything. It just sometimes takes a little bit of time to propagate over the internet, those changes there. So now our next thing we need to resolve is the fact that this isn't secure, okay? And so AWS has a service called Amazon Certificate Manager, and it allows you to get free SSL certificates. But just be sure when you do go to the service, we're going to click on provision certificates and not private. These ones are very expensive. They're $500 initially, and you really want to just provision a certificate. I wish they'd say free or public over here so it's less confusing. You're only ever going to see the splash screen once for the first time you've ever created a certificate within a zone, so hopefully that's not too confusing there. But it does ask you again if you want public or private. You definitely want the public certificate, not the private, okay? So we're going to request a certificate, and we are going to put our domain name in. So just to cover all our bases here, I'm going to put in the naked domain, and I'm also going to put in a wildcard so all our subdomains are included here. This is going to catch all cases. And we'll just hit next here. We're going to use DNS validation. Email validation is the older mechanism here for validation. Everyone does DNS validation. Okay, and we're going to hit review. Then we're going to hit confirm request. And this is going to start spinning here. And now what it's going to ask for us to do is to validate that we have ownership of that domain. And so it can verify this here. And luckily, we can just drop this down and create a record in Route 53. So this is what they do. They put a CNAME in your DNS records here. And that's how we know that we own that domain name. And we're going to have to do it for both here. Okay, and so now we're just going to have to wait for these to validate here, and it shouldn't take too long. So I took a quick break there, had some coconut water, came back, refreshed, and now our website's working. I didn't have to do anything. It just sometimes takes a little bit of time to propagate over the internet, those changes there. So now our next thing we need to resolve is the fact that this isn't secure, okay? And so AWS has a service called Amazon Certificate Manager, and it allows you to get free SSL certificates. But just be sure when you do go to the service, we're going to click on provision certificates and not private. These ones are very expensive. They're $500 initially, and you really want to just provision a certificate. I wish they'd say free or public over here so it's less confusing. You're only ever going to see the splash screen once for the first time you've ever created a certificate within a zone. So hopefully that's not too confusing there. But it does ask you again if you want public or private. You definitely want the public certificate, not the private, okay? So we're going to request a certificate, and we are going to put our domain name in. So I'm going to do this, and just so I don't type it wrong, I'm going to go back to Route 53 and grab our domain name, okay? And there it is. So I'm just going to copy it there, go back here, and I'm going to give it wildcard. So it just saves you a lot of time if you wildcard it, okay? So you don't have to keep on adding certificates for subdomains you don't cover. But we have wildcarded it, so we're going to hit next. And then we need to validate that we own that domain name. And since we're using Route 53, it's going to be very easy. We can just use the DNS validation method. Nobody uses email anymore. It's like a very old method. So we're always going to do DNS. And so we're going to go to the next step here and say review. and we're going to say confirm and request. And now we just need to confirm ownership, so they will issue us a free SSL certificate. So we see pending validation. Okay, we're going to drop down here. And what we're going to have here is a button. And what this is going to do is it's going to automatically create the CNAME record in Route 53. This is the way Certificate Manager is going to confirm that we own the domain, because if we can add it to the domain, that means we must own it. And so they have a one button press for us to do that there. So that's very convenient. Okay, and this should not take too long to confirm. So we'll hit continue here. Okay, and it's in pending validation. And so we're just going to wait a little bit here, just like we did for the website to update. And we'll do a refresh, because this is a static page, so you will have to hit this a few times. So that certificate has been issued. The console didn't directly take me to this screen, so I did have to go to the top here, type ACM like this, and to get here and hit refresh. But again, this only takes a few minutes when you are using Route 53. And so, you know, just be aware that's how long it should take. And so now that it's been issued, we can go ahead and attach it to our load balancers. So we're going to go back to the EC2 console. On the left-hand side, we're going to go to load balancers. And we're going to make sure our load balancer is selected there. Go to listeners, and we're going to add another one for 443, which is SSL. And we're going to forward this to our target production group here, okay? And then this is where we get to attach our SSL certificate. So we're going to drop that down to Ferengi Alliance, and we're going to hit save. Okay, and so now we're able to listen on port 443 here. We do have this little caution symbol. It's saying that we can't actually receive inbound traffic for 443. So we're going to have to update our security group. So going down to our security group here, we will click it, and it is the ALB security group that we're looking for. So this one here, we're going to go to inbound rules. We're going to edit, and we're going to add a new rule, and we're going to set it for HTTPS. So there we go. So now we can accept traffic on 443, and it is attached there. So now we should be able to have a protected or secure URL there when we access our domain name. So I'm just going to grab the name so I don't make any spelling mistakes here, and we'll paste it in here. And there we go. It's secure. So yeah, so there we are. Okay, great. So we're all done this follow along here, and I just want to make sure that we just do some cleanup here to make sure that we aren't being charged for things we don't need anymore. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to just terminate our load balancer there, which is not too difficult to do. So we'll just go ahead there and go to actions and just go ahead and delete that. It should be pretty quick, and wow, that was very fast. So now onto our auto scaling groups. So that's the next thing we need to go ahead and delete there. And so we're just going to drop down to actions there and go delete. Now, when you delete the auto scaling group, it will automatically delete those EC2 instances there, but it's good to keep a little eye on them there. So we're going to pop over to here for a minute. And you can see they're not terminating just yet. So we're going to wait on that auto scaling group. And so once that auto scaling group has been deleted, and this might take a little bit of time here, it will definitely get rid of those EC2 instances for us. That took an incredibly long time to delete that auto scaling group. I don't know why, but we'll go back to our instances here and we'll see if they are still running. So you can see they've all been terminated. So when that auto scaling group is deleted, it's going to take down the EC2 instances with it. We're probably also going to want to go to Route 53 and remove those dead endpoints there, because there is a way of compromising those if you are very smart. So we will just go ahead and delete that record because it's pointing to nothing right now, right? And so there you go. That was our cleanup. So we're all in good shape. And hopefully you found this section really fun.